Today we're going to talk about how to invest in real estate and a little known strategy called adverse possession. This is an amazing strategy. It's not for the faint of heart, but hang around. I'm going to show you how it works. If the idea of getting a free property appeals to you, then you definitely want to get your pen and paper and show up for what we're about to talk about right now. Because we're going to be talking about the definition of adverse possession so we can get our arms around it. And then I'm going to show you 5 elements that you need to be looking for. And when these 5 elements line up in a line, then you may be sitting on top of an adverse possession free property in your inventory position. So, you ready to roll? Now, before we start on this subject of adverse possession, I want to tell you, I'm going to be speaking to you from the great state of Texas and the rules and regs as it pertains in Texas. It may be different and probably is different if you're in a different state. I also want to tell you that this strategy is not for the faint of heart. It could have a lot of pitfalls and some major issues. If you're going to pursue adverse possession, I strongly advise that you do it in conjunction with a legal professional who understands adverse possession to the T, because you're going to need it. We'll need to make sure that we stay within all the rules and regs and laws in your state if you're going to be doing this strategy. Please seek professional guidance. Get you an attorney. So let's start by addressing the formal definition of adverse possession as represented by nolo.com, which is a legal encyclopedia, and talking about the state of Texas. It reads, adverse possession is the doctrine of adverse possession in Texas protects someone who has honestly entered and held possession in the belief that the land is his or her own, as well as one who knowingly appropriates the land for a specific purpose of acquiring the title. There's 2 things in there. One is if you want to possess the land because it's yours, rightfully yours for some reason. But the other last half of that sentence said, if you want to possess the land in an effort to gain title. And that's the kind of adverse possession I'm talking about right there. We're going to take properties that we don't have any color of title to or any kind of title to. We're going to possess those properties in hopes of getting a title. So let's give a little background in an instance, because this kind of sounds freaky or kind of shady, right? Because you're talking about just walking into property you don't own and possessing it and trying to gain title to it, like you're trying to steal it from somebody. Here's the thing, and it'll become more clear when I show you the 5 elements. These are properties that have been abandoned, not wanted. They're eyesores. They're dangerous to the neighborhoods. There's all kinds of bad things going on at these properties, and you're coming in to correct all these problems at your own expense and your own risk. And if no one objects, then eventually you can get the title to the place yourself. So it's not a shady something to be used as a weapon. It's more, what do you do with a property when there's no heirs left? What happens to it? Does it just sit there and rats and crack houses and all the bad elements of the neighborhood go in and out at 1 and 2 and 3 o'clock at night? I mean, what's going to happen to this house? So adverse possession is a way to clean up these blights inside our neighborhoods. Now, I talked to you about getting a free house. I'll say this again, and I've said it many times before. There is nothing for free. If you don't have money, you're substituting time and expertise in the place of money. And that's what we're going to be doing here. And most of the time when people say something is free in this business, it still costs a little bit, but don't trip over the pennies on the way to the dollars. It costs so little compared to what you can make that it's not even worth discussing or arguing about, is the point. So let's go on with all these 5 elements. And what do they look like if you're sitting on top of an adverse possession opportunity? Usually, the most common denominator of all adverse possession houses is death. There has to have been an owner that has died. That's the very beginning of the 5 elements. When you see death, maybe you start perking up a little bit and starting to see if these other 4 elements come along. The next is no heirs. The person died, doesn't have anyone to leave the property to. And so the property's just sitting there. The next thing we're looking for, if there's been a death and there's no heirs, is there debt on this property? If there is no debt and there are no heirs and there is no living owner, we're starting to get really close to being able to adverse possess this house. Now, if there is debt on the property, then it just muddies things up. Although there could be debt and it not be that much. Like if there's only $3,000 worth of debt on a $200,000 house, and that's all that's left on the mortgage is $3,000, we might have a decision to make. We may be going in and deciding whether we're just going to pay that bank off or not. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The fourth thing is repairs. Does the property need massive repairs? I mean, if you're really going to adversely possess something, which means you're just going to move in without title, do you really want to spend $80,000 on a rehab on a house that you don't even have title to? Well, the answer is no. So you're looking for houses that don't need a lot of repair to be rentable. Last but not least, we're looking for liens and judgments because, again, that's kind of a form of debt that this property owns. It may not have a mortgage. It may not need a lot of repairs. But if the city's got $25,000 worth of lawn mowing bills attached to this house because the city's been having to mow this yard for the last 10 years, then we've got another monetary problem. Again, you probably wouldn't want to put $25,000 into a property that you're really not sure you're going to own because you can't get title to it very quickly. So when you see these 5 things, death, no heirs, no debt, very little repairs, and no judgments or liens, now you're starting to get excited about the chance that this house might be a possible adverse possession. Imagine if in your career you picked up 5 or 6 or 7 adverse possession houses. And during the time period it takes to cure these issues, these houses became worth $200,000 apiece. I mean, if you had 5 houses at $200,000, that's an extra $1 million you just picked up. Not counting all the rent you collected while the values of these houses were going up. So that's why adverse possession is so intriguing to me. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it is hugely lucrative. So I'm going to tell you a little story about one of my adverse possession experiences. But before I do, please reach over there and hit that like button and that share button. If you're finding these episodes helpful or inspiring, help us out and let's share this with your friends and your neighbors so that they will know that we're here. Right now, a lot of people don't know we exist, but over the coming year, we're going to be disseminating tons of very valuable content. So you yourself will absolutely want to subscribe. And if you haven't, let's do that right now too. So one of these houses that I got adverse possession, I was with my partner, Mike. I received a call from Mike and he said, I think we might have an adverse possession opportunity. Let me tell you what's going on. So I said, sure, what's up with it? He says, well, we went over to this house and it's vacant and we've been trying to find the owner. We figured out that she's deceased. She died about 2 years ago. She was 93 years old. So, true to what we always do, we start looking for the heirs, right? Because we still want to buy that house. Who owns it? So we started searching and he was telling me he couldn't find any heirs. In fact, we searched under her obituary and it read, survived by neighbors and friends. That was our first clue that she didn't have any heirs. So now he informs me we're in the process. We've hired an attorney, a third party that we have to pay real money to try to find the heirs. So that on the outside looking in, like a judge or a jury or anything like that, they would see where it wasn't us just saying that there wasn't an heir. We hired a third-party professional attorney and paid him real money to go find the heirs for us. And he comes back and tells us there are no heirs of record that we can find. And now the game is on. We can't find the heirs. We hired a third party to find the heirs and they couldn't find any heirs. Now it's like get with the adverse possession attorney and let's go through the steps that we need to legally to adverse possess this property. 1, you have to send out notices. 2, you have to post in a local newspaper, and you have to do all these things, and you have to do them in order, and you have to do them exactly right, and you have to allow certain time periods to pass. And then when all of that's done, you simply move into the property. Now, what we chose to do was to move in a renter. We had a worker who needed a place to live, and we told him he could move a futon in, 1 chest of drawers, and 1 TV, and that was it. And that if and when we told him he needed to move, he needed to be able to move within 3 hours. So if he got the call and he agreed, for that, we were going to let him live there for free. We just want to put someone in the house, change the locks, take possession, and see who shows up. See if anyone shows up. Now, the key to this in Texas is you have to openly and hostilely possess the property, which means you can't sneak around, you can't hide, you can't cover up anything. You got to put it all on the table, baby. Put it all on the table. So we told the guy that we put inside the house, if anyone comes asking about anything about this house, you hand them my business card. Might have been better if we'd have handed them our attorney's business card, but we weren't that smart back then. We said hand them our business card. So some people did come over. Quite a few people did. They were mostly the friends and the neighbors. They came over and they were asking, how did you get this house? How did you buy this house? Because apparently a lot of people wanted to buy the house, but they could never really find an heir, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know who to buy the house from because there was no heirs. So they're asking me, how did you buy this house? And I am openly and hostilely telling them the truth. And this is what I say. I say, I have taken possession of this house. If you have a claim to this house or this property, then state your claim. If you do not have a claim to this house, then please stay off my property. I'm telling them, I've just taken possession. If you have a claim, state your claim. If you don't have a claim, get off my property. And then we went down to the county, and there was 3 years of taxes behind, like $3,000, $2,800, something like that. We didn't want to put the whole $2,800 out in the first week or 2 or 3 because we wanted to see if somebody would show up with a claim. You got to really expect that someone is. We didn't know who or how, but we figured someone would show up. We went down to the county and we put the taxes in our name, and we paid $500 toward the $2,800. And so now the taxes are in our name on public record. That again is openly and hostilely taking possession. Openly. We're not hiding anything. This went on for about 8 months. Nobody showed up with a claim. We moved that guy out. We moved a renter in for $1,200 a month. And we've been collecting $1,200 a month for I don't know how many years now, but a lot. And when we get to about 10 years, no one contesting our possession, we can sue for quiet title and gain possession of that house. I shudder to think what this house will be worth in 10 years from the time we bought it. It's already been like, when we adversely possessed it, it was worth about $90,000. It's been like 4 years now. It's worth $250,000. So I don't know what the next 6 years has in appreciation for us, but imagine if you had 4 or 5 houses like this in your career, how it might change the whole look of your bottom line. All right, we're at the end of the segment. I hope you enjoyed that. I need to deliver your chance for a little free giveaway here. I would love for you to get a copy of a free recorded Q&A call. This is about an hour and 45-minute call where Mike and or I, every week, same time, same day, are dealing with about 20 to 40 people on a call who are talking to us about their victories, their problems, their issues, their concerns, and just what ifs. And we're just going through real estate scenario after scenario after scenario, running our traps, and you get to listen to all this. I really don't think there's a person on the planet wouldn't benefit from it. I benefit from it, and I'm the one holding the class. I mean, people bring stuff to this call all the time that I can't even fathom. So check it out. Go to 1000houses.com/free-stuff. Scroll up and down that page until you see the link that reads recorded Q&A call. Click on it and it'll be digitally delivered to you within minutes, and you'll be listening at your leisure.